What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to some of the dumbest things that Americans have ever said. So today, I want to take a look at some examples of just the stupidest things that Americans have actually posted on the internet. And I don't know, I can only imagine what we are going to see here today. So let's take a look. Starting with, we got a picture here. It says, pupils use phone locking stations at Scotland's first phone-free school. I've kind of heard about this idea that in like schools in these days, kids are getting like distracted by the smartphones and the iPhones and all the phones, and it's hard to like teach and do classroom stuff if everybody's on their phone. So they're having kids like turn in their cell phones when they go to school and stuff. So in Scotland, they're actually like locking the phone up with an actual like case and lock. I didn't know that. Somebody commented on this. An American commented and said, if there's a shooting, how do they call for help? Oh, no! 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 That is the most American response ever. Okay, so this American is like trying to put forward their argument against locking up phones during school time. And what she comes up with is what if you need to what if you need your phone to call for help? Because there's a shooting. Because that's happening every day and all the time. Because everywhere is exactly like the United States, where everybody lives in fear of guns and being shot at school. And no, I mean, in this picture, we're literally talking about Scotland, for crying out loud. This is it's so embarrassing because a lot of Americans like really have a problem with projection and projecting our problems that we have in America onto the rest of the world. It's like, no, people in the rest of the world can't relate to this idea like, oh, what if you need your cell phone at school to call for police to help? I mean, it's not even like America definitely has a problem with this kind of thing, but I think in the United States, how many school shootings are there? I think it's like 30 to 40 per year. So like every week or two, somewhere in the United States, there's a school shooting, which is pretty horrific, pretty darn bad. And maybe enough of an argument for here in the United States to have like emergency phones available. That's a whole other issue. That this American decided to drag everyone into this. No. For the rest of the world, where people are like normal and responsible and have, reasonable gun ownership laws, this is not a good argument. What if you need your phone to call for help? That's embarrassing. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard locking up cell phones is like something a lot of schools are trialing. I feel like in Australia they're doing that. Is that true? I think I heard that. Where it's like, yeah, during school time, in this day and age, kids have grown up with their phone almost their whole life, and you can get addicted to that kind of stuff. God knows I'm addicted to like YouTube and TikToks or something. Someone's should take my phone away. So I get it. Let's keep going here. Whew. Some of the stupidest things Americans have said on the internet. We have Maria saying, also, you posted this online. Online was invented by the United States. What are we talking about? What are you saying? Then someone responded saying, Maria, Jesus Christ. Tim Berners-Lee was British. I swear, Americans worry me sometimes. That's okay. Maybe for good reason at times. So yeah, I didn't remember his name, but it's Tim Berners-Lee, British inventor. I believe he invented like pretty much the internet as we know it today. I think the actual like connection of computers and servers across the world was invented by someone else. But Tim Berners-Lee, yeah, he's British and he literally invented the idea of URLs and website addresses and HTTP, like how we literally format things on websites so that there can be stuff on the internet. That's all thanks to a British person. What is Maria even saying here? The American. Like, what was she even getting at? Like, don't you dare say this to me online. The online belongs to me, an American, because America owns the internet. What are you talking about? For one thing, you're wrong about who invented the internet. The modern day internet was not even an American. And, like, what are we even saying anyway? Like, about who owns the internet? Who's allowed to use the internet? Why would you even bring that up? No, nobody owns it. Why are you even making that an argument? Like you're saying this person doesn't even have the right to comment to you online. And on top of it, you're wrong about it being a US invention. As if that is so bad. It's so bad. It's like who invented the road, right? Could like the descendants of the ancient Romans or Egyptians who invented the roads and trade routes. Could those people, the descendants, be like, you're using those roads? Roads belong to me. I invented my great grandfather invented the road. How dare you use the road? Like the roads, everybody can make roads. It belongs to. Anyway, I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but it's like we got Americans out here trying to like claim that they own the internet or something. That's pretty darn stupid. Jeez. Let's keep going here. These never fail to amaze me. This says, I wish I lived in a city where I didn't need a car. This must be an American because in most parts of the United States, you desperately need a car. America is built for cars, and everybody owns a car. I mean, I guess in some cities, like New York City, they have some buses and Ubers and trains, but for the most part in America, you need a car. This person says, well, move to Europe. There's plenty of cities that you can live without owning a car. I've heard about that. And Europeans are much more smart about the public transportation, and you actually walk. You actually walk. Jeez. Then the American says, Europe sucks. That's just nice, isn't it? It's like stepping back in time. 30 What is this? No technology, no food, no chains. What is wrong with people, Americans on the internet? Like, what is wrong? Are they okay? Is everything okay? And it's also like so much seething with like anger and hostility and not even speaking the truth. Europe is extremely technologically advanced, and I think in a lot of ways Europe is ahead of the United States on certain things, mind you, like as far as technology goes. And food, doesn't Europe have like the biggest variety of food and cultures like in the world, basically? Like Europe is known for Americans travel to Europe, and one of the main reasons is for the food experience. What do you mean no food? No chains? What does that even mean? Like McDonald's? Like a fast food? Oh my God, there's not as many McDonald's in Europe. Help us. Um, there's no hotels that aren't mom and pop. That would be a nice thing if there were mom and pop hotels, like smaller, family owned hotels. What do you guys call it? Like a bed and breakfast or something? Isn't that a thing? Where it's a much more intimate, friendly experience. That would be a good thing. It's fine to visit Europe, but that's about it. This American can't fathom that Europeans live in Europe and actually enjoy their lives. He cannot possibly imagine it. My God. Um, this says a woman builds a house out of bricks. Why not just frame it out like a normal person? What is this? Is this where we are as Americans? Like, is this where we've got? Where we're saying it's strange to build a house out of bricks? Then somebody responded saying, no idea where this is located, but in many developing nations, they build with bricks and steel, reinforced concrete, because they don't have the lumber industry in the West. Um, so, okay, anyway, the rest doesn't really matter, but it's basically my point. Like, this American is criticizing that someone is building a house out of bricks. Bricks is a good, like, that's a good material. Like here in the United States, we use like plaster and wood and like particle board, and that's actually not great. That's if you can build a house and foundation out of like concrete and bricks, that's going to last you a much longer amount of time. That is the preferred method. That's more expensive. It seems some Americans have like lost track here, lost the just on the just lost the story here about like what makes a good home just because of how we do it here in the United States. Yeah, you would be like in the United States if you had a house with like made out of brick, all brick. That's like a premium. You just don't see it that often anymore. Jeez, it's bad. This is getting bad. This is bad. Let's take a look at a couple more. Just because these children were put into cages doesn't mean they're not free. What? What did I just read? What did I even just read there? Just because these children were put into cages doesn't mean they're not free. Okay? They're still staying on American soil, which is as free as it gets. Oh my God. That's a doozy right there. What did I just read? If children are put into cages, that's bad. It's embarrassing that I even have to say this to another American. It's not a good thing if a child is put into a cage, ever. It's not a good thing. Shouldn't happen. That means they are in a cage, and by definition, not free. I mean, it's so dumb that I even have to say this. So, just because children are in cages doesn't mean they're not free. That's wrong. They are literally against their will in a cage. They're staying on American soil. So this person's arguing, even if you're in a cage, as long as you're in America, it's all good. You're free. Life is great. Well, why don't we put you in a cage? Whoever wrote this, if by your own logic, why don't we put you in a cage and keep you in the United States somewhere? If it's no problem, if you're still free, as you claim, if it's still so fantastic to be in America. No? No, you don't want to do that? Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Oh my God. I don't even know what that person was getting on about. Jeez. I don't. What possesses some Americans to like There was a time before the internet where you didn't have like this global platform to like just type out your dumbest, darkest thoughts for the world to see. We might need to go back to that, you know? Maybe we weren't meant. Maybe we don't have the responsibility to like have the internet in America. Like you shouldn't just type out every stupid thought you ever have. You should think a little bit before saying children in America are fine even if they're in cages. This says last year on Twitch, I watched an American playing a video game called Sonic. He said, "Hi, I'm American. I don't know if you can tell." And someone in the chat said, "We can tell from your accent." And then the American said, "No, Americans don't have an accent." This is driving me insane. These literally drive me mad. But it's also kind of funny, you got to admit. Like, what the heck? He says, in complete seriousness, he says, "No, Americans don't have an accent." He refused to back down when people were going, "Mate, come on." A man in his 30s, an American, believed he had no accent. And it was just everyone else in the world that has an accent. It's funny because I understand. I'm American. I live and grew up in the United States. I understand the American brain. For a long time, when I was a kid, growing up in the United States, for a long, long time, like probably until I was a teenager or something, I also thought, everybody around the world has an accent, but in America, we don't. We just sound normal. We just have the normal way of speaking. It's just kind of this stupid, ignorant thing Americans like. I think what it really stems from is like in Europe, for example. In Europe, you guys, there's so many countries with so many cultures and different languages and different accents. And in Europe, I'm guessing it becomes very, very apparent to you guys that there's a lot of different countries and accents and you're all different and unique. Here in the United States, we're very much, I didn't even realize how much we're in our own bubble where truly we are insulated from the rest of the world. Sure, we're next to like Canada and like Mexico, and we see stuff on TV, but there's something about the American experience where you get a lot of kids like this. I'm not trying to make excuses, and the embarrassing thing is, this is not a child. This is a 30-year-old man. And I've heard this before. Americans, I think this is like an American thing, where a lot of Americans think we have no accent, because we cannot possibly imagine from another person's perspective outside of the United States. We cannot possibly imagine that we sound a certain way or we sound different and talk differently, because we don't have the ability to put ourselves in like a world view, like a worldly point of view. I think that's where this problem stems from, because this is not the first time I've encountered this kind of thing. Americans who think we have no accent. Yeah. Jeez. All right. I think with that, that's a good place to stop. That's about all I can handle for this time. Holy cow. Some of the dumbest things I've ever heard Americans say on the internet. For sure. I'm glad we at least set the record straight on a couple of this stuff, but it was sort of entertaining at the same time. So if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any of these dumb things Americans have said on the internet. That'd be fun to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.